If God can answer my prayer, let me get a better job, eh? I will be very grateful, said Vera, one of the co-workers of Juliet. They both work as clerks in one of the offices in town. They shared the same big office with two other employees. During their leisure, they come around and gist about a lot of things, one of which is their job and the peanut it pays. I have been working here for 6 years and I don't have any tangible savings. I can't continue like this, said Emmanuel. And to think this is our youthful years being wasted away. I am already close to 40 years and my salary isn't even up to 60k after working for 7 years, he lamented. Juliet, a quiet and reserved lady, had joined the organization 2 years ago. She was happy when she got the job because she was told they had the best pay around. But when she got the job, she realized that it was just a case of a one-eyed man being celebrated as king in the city of blind people. They paid better than the other offices around, but they still paid peanuts. The promise that Juliet held on to that made her remain in the company for 2 years was that they would soon become federal workers. Some screenings were conducted for them a year ago, but there has been no aftermath effect of it. Juliet was getting disappointed with her life. Being a very decent girl who isn't used to getting money in fraudulent ways through selling her body. Her option to get money in the right way hasn't been encouraging at all. She graduated with a 2:1, but due to a lack of connection in high places, she struggled to get a job. It was with great joy she took the clerk job that started with a payment of 35,000 naira for her. Her joy faded away months later when she realized that she couldn't afford many of the beauty enhancing products that helped ladies of her age look good. Being someone that spends a lot of time on the social media, she was abreast of the various fashion trends that popped up on her screen every now and then. The vacations and fine cuisines that her mates in big cities enjoyed were also desired by her. Having grown up in a poor home, raised by a widow, she had suffered many denials of pleasures. Her mother would always tell her to take her academics seriously and she would be able to afford the good things she wanted once she got a job. Now she has gotten a job, yet she is unable to enjoy many of the good things she wanted. She wears thrift clothes and uses cheap powder that makes her face white. She stays in a rented room which she shares with her friend. When she collects her salary, after buying foodstuff and paying all sorts of bills, she has little or nothing left for her. She got tired of the lifestyle and began to think of what to do to help her life. She started joining caterers on Saturdays to serve guests at events. She goes to the office on Saturday, but she closes at 12 p.m. So she rushes to the event center to work. That arrangement was even possible because the caterer was a good friend to her mother. The other servants were required to be there since 10 a.m. With this, she was able to save some money to buy some online courses on content writing. She had bought the first course and I thought it was over. After looking for jobs online for 4 months and she couldn't get one, she was told there was a higher course she had to do to position herself right for a job. So she saved again, a process which took her the next 5 months. When she was done, she paid for the course and studied it diligently. When she was done, she submitted about 65 emails to different CEOs whose details she got through thorough search on different social media platforms. She sent emails to both local and international CEOs, but she got rejection upon rejection. She was getting frustrated until an option for a 3-month internship in a foreign company was opened. You mean you will work for 3 months for free? Daisy, her roommate, had asked her when she got to know about it. Yes, it will add to my CV. It's a privilege I even got it, said Juliet. Think about it carefully, and to think writing is very hectic. You will research and gather facts together before you write. You want to do that for free? Asked Daisy. They will pay for my data, so that's not an issue. Juliet started the internship. Even though it was so hectic for her, she closes from her office by 5 p.m, after which she gets home, cook and rest a little before she starts her remote work. Her resting hours was slashed heavily. From sleeping 7 hours before, she had to start sleeping daily for 4 hours. She was diligent. She was to produce a 3,000-word article daily and submit it in her team leader's inbox when she was done. Due to the time zone variation, which happens to be afternoon time in the other country, her team leader drops the necessary corrections to the article within the next 30 minutes. Most times, Juliet keeps awake till he drops the correction in order to effect it before she sleeps. She realizes she isn't usually at the peak of her creativity in her office during work hours, so she likes to do the tough mental task at home. She does the corrections and submits to her team leader before she finally sleeps. Daisy wondered why someone would subject herself to such hard life when there were easy options to make money, like having a sugar daddy like she does. 3 months later, Juliet was done with the internship. She revisited her CV and added her latest experience. She got ready to start sending emails again to CEOs, and it was beginning to look tedious even before she started. Sometimes she felt pity for herself. If only father didn't die, I won't be suffering this much, she would lament. Aside struggling to be able to afford her needs as a lady, she also has 2 siblings who are undergraduates and they ask her for money. She doesn't oblige them all the time, but she also tries not to say no too often. They are girls and she doesn't want them to fall for the temptation of seeking immoral options. Their mother was old and had a health condition that limited her movement. In the midst of her anguish, she had received a message in her email. One of the CEOs she sent messages to in the past was asking if she would still be interested in working with them. She jumped up in excitement. It was like a dream come true. She quickly sent a response, indicating willingness to work with them. She was taken through 3 rounds of interview processes, and after all screenings had been done, she was considered qualified for the job. She was so happy. She danced around her room that day for the entire evening. Daisy was happy for her. So, are you going to resign from your place of work? She asked. Juliet stood abruptly. She hadn't thought in line of that. Her new job specification required she writes a 5,000-word article every day, which would be more hectic than what she faced during her internship. That one had her write just 3,000 words, and she knew how hectic it was. For her to deliver optimally, she actually needs to resign from her 8 to 5, but she wasn't sure about that. I don't know yet. I haven't even given it a thought, she said. You should. Managing both will be hectic, Daisy said. I will think about it, she said, and started the thinking process right there. She went to our online community of content writers and shared her dilemma with them. Some were of the opinion that she resigns, while the majority believed that she should test the waters first. According to them, remote work can be sometimes volatile. That is, you can have a job today and be out of job tomorrow if the boss is no longer pleased with the person's job. It is best you test it for a while and see if the job offers a long-term role, one of the community members said. Juliet decided she wasn't going to resign. She couldn't bear to be out of job at all. I will manage both together, she told Daisy, who sneered at her. It's like you want to die, Daisy said. I will cope. I just have to make a few adjustments here and there, Juliet said. The conversation ended. Juliet got a pen and paper and scribbled down some of the adjustments she needed to make to create more time. She tried to think of the things she could cut off from her schedule in order to create more time. Daisy was chuckling where she was. She was of the opinion that she would lose the job soon. She has a friend who is into content writing and she knows how time consuming it can be. She will learn a lesson, she muttered, crunching on some peanuts. Juliet kept writing, cancelling and writing, thinking in the process. Her job will start in 2 days' time. She wanted to prepare well. She also went back to her online community to ask questions. As she suddenly became apprehensive, the members gave her the necessary admonition that would strengthen her. 2 days later, she started. She followed the onboarding rules strictly and set her workstation right. Due to the time zone difference, the working hours she signed up for was from 8 p.m. till 1 a.m., which was afternoon in the other country. She closes from her office by 5 p.m. and sometimes 5:30 p.m., depending on how hectic the work for the day is. Her house is quite far from her office, so she gets home around 6 p.m. She prepares her dinner after catching her breath for a while. And cooking for her most times takes about 2 hours because she first of all has to gather the ingredients needed. She has to go to the next compound to fetch water. Due to her limited resources, she gets to realize many of her ingredients are finished just at the point she wants to cook. So she dashes off to the street again to get them. Now on this particular day she started a new job, she couldn't cook. She rather ate bread as dinner. The first working day was itch-free. No complaints from her boss. She was happy. The next day had a little hiccup. She resumed her remote work 5 minutes late because she was cooking. It took about 30 minutes of intense apology before her boss accepted her back. Juliet was so scared that day. She was so close to losing her job. She had sat down, breathing heavily. It took her 10 minutes to gain composure and do a proper job. After she was done by 1 a.m., she decided that what happened that day must never happen again. She wasn't ready to lose a job that would pay her 300,000 naira by the end of the month. Over some flimsy excuses, she decided to stop cooking at night and just eat bread. She is always tired in the evening, so the cooking process is always slow. She decided to cut it off. She continued the job for the next 2 weeks. It was a lot. She started losing weight. She almost collapsed one day due to dizziness. She wondered why. Is it my reduced sleep hours that is causing this? She asked herself. She was also feeling weak in her body. She went to see a nurse that lived in the house next to us, and the nurse urged her to eat well. For the kind of mental task you are subjecting your brain to, you need to eat well. It needs good nourishment. Go and improve on your diet, she said. Juliet ruminated over it. She thought of how to improve her diet without breaking a bank. Something told her her health issue started from when she started taking bread as dinner. She decided to quit such act. She borrowed some money and bought an extra gas cylinder. Early in the morning, when she wakes up to cook, she ensures she cooks dinner alongside breakfast on both cylinders. She would ensure they are simple meals that wouldn't need much of her attention because she also uses the cooking time to get ready her digital writing tools for the day. She updates apps that need to be updated and she checks out what is new in her field. She sits in the kitchen with her phone to do all this while her meals cook on. After she was told she needed a lot of fruits to help her, she had a culture of buying a particular biscuit, which was her favorite. She buys the biscuit daily. She decided to switch it to buying of fruits. She researched fruits that were good for the brain, and she took the ones she could afford often. She made sure to buy fruits that are in season, even though she has never been the fruit type. But she can't allow lack of good health stop her breakthrough. Daisy had returned from an outing one evening and saw a lot of oranges in front of Juliet. "Why do you have so many oranges before you?" asked Daisy, who went and attempted to pick 3. Juliet slapped her hand. No, please. One is enough." Daisy kept struggling. "One is too small. Don't be stingy," she said, and forcefully took 2 oranges from the bowl. She ran to her side of the room. Juliet had no choice than to let her have it. Juliet missed the time she used to spend on movies. She was a fan of many YouTube movies, but she can't even remember the last time she spent time on that. She had attended a seminar on a public holiday. The aim of the seminar was to spark up the desire to be successful. The speakers were on fire. They spoke with so much passion and enthusiasm. Juliet left the event feeling highly motivated. She asked herself what else she could do to hasten up her success. "Since I am a writer, I can also write a book," she soliloquized. She decided to start writing a 250-page book. She still has a remote job that she does. She was in her 3rd week, yet to receive her first salary. She would do a remote job till 1 a.m. and then start writing her book. After 3 days, she suffered a severe burnout. She had collapsed while entering her room from the kitchen. Daisy had run to grab her. Afraid, she went to the next house to call the nurse. The nurse came with some equipment. She attended to Juliet, who was lying unconscious, and after some minutes of working on her, she regained consciousness. After she woke up, the nurse had instructed her to have a 3 days bed rest, but she couldn't afford that luxury. "What will happen to my job?" she asked Daisy. "Your life comes first." The nurse said you have been going through so much stress, which was why she recommended a bed rest for you, said Daisy. "I can't take a sick leave from a job I haven't even spent 1 month on. It will send a bad signal. I think it was the book I decided to write that complicated my health. I will leave that for now," said Juliet. "This is not a matter of stopping the writing of your book. It's about you getting a bed rest for 3 days. Don't do any work. That's the meaning of bed rest," Daisy argued. Juliet shook her head. "I can't stop work. I can only minimize it." Juliet's phobia for not losing her job sprang up when her mother lost her health while in her final year. Her mother had been a financial pillar all through school. Suddenly, she had an accident and was bedridden for 6 months. Juliet got an extra year due to the turmoil the stage launched her into. She couldn't pay her school fees, project fees, etc. She couldn't feed. Her roommate tried to help in regards to feeding, but they weren't able to sustain it. The men whose help she sought wanted to sleep with her. She was also shuttling between school and the hospital. Her mother's co-workers in the office had financed her stay in the hospital. When she was discharged, it was discovered that she had a partial stroke and she had to resign from work prematurely. Thank God for the farm she was able to procure while in service. She now lives on the proceeds of the farm, which is small, but at least better than nothing. Juliet had lost a year due to her inability to pay her school fees. Since then, it occurred to her the danger inherent in being without a source of income. "I will make necessary adjustments," Juliet said. She withdrew some of her savings and paid for a week food subscription with a food vendor. "I'm expecting my remote job payment soon, so I should be able to recoup the money I spent, she said to herself. The food vendor sent her breakfast to her office every day for the next 1 week and brought her dinner to her house every evening. Big girl, you now order food online. Show me the way, oh. Daisy had teased her. I didn't do this for pleasure. I did it because it became a necessity, Juliet said. Daisy refused to believe her as she laughed on. Because Juliet no longer cooked, her stress reduced. She also made a good use of her break time at work. She would rest her head on her locker while her colleagues argue on sports, politics, and so on. She had told her boss about her health issue and begged for the leniency to close by 4 p.m. for that week. Her boss had agreed because Juliet had been a dedicated worker who never missed work. As a result, she was able to have about 3 hours of rest before her time for her remote job. A week later, she got her first pay in dollars, which amounted to the sum of 300,000 naira. Juliet felt like she was in a dreamland. She was so thrilled. She has never touched that kind of money all her life. She cried, she smiled, she laughed. She became confused on which emotions to express. She became more determined to work harder. She paid back the nurse that had treated her. She was unable to pay the nurse the 2 times she had a health issue. And the nurse was so understanding. Juliet had promised to pay her at the end of the month, a promise she kept. She sent money to her mother and siblings in school. By the time she was done, she had just 100,000 naira left. Money is so easy to spend, she said. The next day, her remote work boss had called her into a virtual meeting. Her workload was increased with a higher pay though. She had 2 options, either to come up to the increased workload or resign so that they could employ someone who would give them what they wanted. Juliet wasn't ready to let go of the job, so she assured her boss that she was ready for the increased task. Her daily article word count increased from 5,000 words to 7,000. She had taken a deep breath after the meeting. As thrilling as the payment was, she knew her body would have to face a lot of brunt. Or should I resign from my office job? She asked herself. The next day, she woke up to the news of 2 of her online community members who lost their jobs. They complained that they were suddenly locked out of their workplace account and they received an email that their services were no longer needed. They complained bitterly about how they gave their best and didn't even know what they did wrong. The community members comforted them, telling them a better one would come. The news scared Juliet when she saw it. So, these white people are not reliable, she soliloquized. She decided she wasn't going to quit her job yet. She sat more comfortably to think of activities she could cut off to achieve the new task. Her subscription with the food vendor had ended. Her feeding for that 1 week had cost her over 70,000 naira. She has enjoyed a lot of relief, but she can't keep up with the payment. She devised a plan. She was coming back from work the next day when she realized that there was a woman who owns a canteen in her street. She has been there since she got a house in the street. How come I didn't think of her? She muttered. She walked to the woman who was busy attending to customers in her canteen. She told the food vendor that she wanted to see her. After she was done attending to customers, she went to Juliet, who was seated on one of the plastic chairs. Yes, what can I do for you? Asked Madam Gold, the food vendor. Yes, ma. I don't know if you run a package whereby you cook for me for 1 month. I come here daily to eat breakfast and dinner. Then I pay you monthly, Juliet said. Madam Gold observed her for some seconds before she answered. Yes, we do it. You did what? Asked Daisy in shock when she heard what her friend just said. You arranged a monthly food subscription package with a roadside food vendor. What were you thinking? You didn't even think of your health, screamed Daisy. God has been the one keeping me. He will continue to keep me, Juliet said. My dear, there are things God wants to do for you. He gave you brain for a reason. Those women use a lot of unimaginable things to cook their food. We see their stories every day online. Juliet felt uncomfortable because she knew she had a point. But I don't have a choice. Moreover, it's just a temporary arrangement. That woman has been in this street for 3 years. If she isn't good at her job, I believe news would have spread about her around the street, Juliet said, looking defeated. What happened to your former food vendor? Was she not doing a good job? I still trust her with food than this new person, Daisy said, determined to drive home her point. Yes, she is good, but I can't afford her anymore. If I continue to patronize her, the bulk of my remote fee salary would be on food alone. I want to save and make this stage of my life count in the long run. I am ready to delay gratification for a while, Juliet said. She checked the time. Please, let's end this conversation. I want to sleep before work starts, she said. Daisy kept quiet and went about her business. The first 2 days of taking up the new assignment was hectic for Juliet. She couldn't deliver in the first 2 days, which landed her a query. She couldn't risk one more query because it might signal the end of her job. Due to the increased length of the article she has to write, she has to research more. The night time was no longer enough for all she had to do. Her only option was break time. She doesn't like doing any creative work during break time in her office because her office is the center of all football and political analysis done by the co-workers, which entails them talking at the top of their voices. The conversations are always interesting, so she finds herself listening most times. Because she's the quiet type, she hardly contributes, but she listens to their points and smiles. I've tried to do a part of her research for her next article during break. Amidst the argument and political analysis, she wasn't used to being anywhere else except her office, so she tried to close out the noise from her heart, but she struggled. She couldn't function optimally due to the noise. While she was struggling, break time was over. She had to resume her work. She was so livid with herself. Why didn't I just leave this place? She asked herself. Low-key, she was also angry at those colleagues that turned their office into a discussion center. I wonder if they don't think about their lives. I wonder if they want to be on this financial level forever, she soliloquized. She had left the office immediately after closing. She hurried home in order to start her research. She needed a really quiet environment. On getting home, she heard a lady's voice from outside her apartment. The voice sounded like Daisy's friend, but she really hoped it wasn't so. Tyler is Daisy's lousy friend. When she is around, rest and quiet goes on leave till she is done. So lousy that Juliet began to pray that she stops coming to see her friend. Welcome, Pumpkin, said Tyler, who greeted Juliet cheerfully. Tyler is a sanguine who relates with strangers as if she has known them for years. Hope your day wasn't tiring, and I hope this naughty friend of mine hasn't been a thorn in your flowers, Tyler asked, throwing a quick glance at Daisy and winking at her. Juliet's displeasure dissipated. She forced out a smile. Daisy has been a good roommate. I couldn't have asked for a better person, said Juliet. Oh, so touching, said Tyler. Daisy smiled. Juliet sat down and got engrossed with Tyler's gist until realization dawned on her that she had work to do. She picked her laptop and went to the compound somewhere under the tree. Juliet was under the tree till 8 p.m. Daisy had to go and call her in. She had been able to do the research she wasn't able to do at the office, but the downside was her inability to sleep before a remote job for the day started. She kept rubbing her eyes, trying so hard to stay awake. Daisy, please, I will appreciate it if you can make me a cup of coffee, she begged. Daisy looked surprised. It was very unlike Juliet to ask for help. She loved the new development. She went into the kitchen and made her a cup of coffee. She placed it on her work table. Juliet appreciated her. She slept off on her seat by 1 a.m. when she was done with her work. Daisy had woken up to pee around 2 a.m. When she saw that Juliet slept off on her seat, she tapped her and led her to bed. This girl, she muttered. The next morning, Daisy had gisted her how she helped her to bed the previous night. Juliet was surprised she dozed off. She's never the type to doze off on a chair. In fact, she has always seen people who doze off on chairs as people without self-control. What's changing about me? I'm losing grip of things I could do with ease some years ago, she said. That's because you are getting older. You are not as young as you were years ago. Also, you are going through a very challenging phase of your life. So, it's normal for the body to be tired, Daisy said. Daisy wanted to continue the conversation, but Juliet stylishly withdrew into the bathroom. Since she started her job, she has had to cut down heavily on gist time, though her roommate isn't aware she does that deliberately, as she would just excuse herself from the room as if something caught her attention. She went to get her water ready for her bath. She has her earpiece on with her phone inside her pocket. She listens to audio recordings of facts she needs for her next article while doing her house chores for the morning. No matter how much Daisy wants to gist, once she sees the earpiece on her ears, she lets her be. She turns on the music and starts dancing. Juliet was able to do a bit of research through the audio method before she left for work. She had learnt the new method from her online community, where she was taught that research isn't only about staring at the phone and reading. There are audio means of research too. She was really glad about that. She had her earpiece on for the greater part of the day, but she removes it after some minutes and allows her ears breathe. She has become so health conscious since her last failed health that almost cost her her job. She got to realize that her health is the greatest resource she needs to make wealth, so she was deliberate about not hurting herself. During break, she left the main office to go sit in the office of one of those men that leave their offices to come IQ in the major office, which she stayed. She spent her entire break time there. The room was solemn, quiet, and refreshing. She was able to wrap up the research she started in the morning. She was exceptionally happy as she went home that day. She felt fulfilled. She had stopped by at the canteen to eat dinner. When she was done, she went home. When she got into the compound, she met her compound neighbors gathered, trying to separate a fight between two neighbors. Daisy was there, watching with amusement. Daisy loves gatherings and the presence of people. Even if it is to catch a thief, she would be there. Juliet had asked her what was going on after they exchanged greetings. Daisy explained what happened to her. Let them settle it. All this fight isn't necessary, Juliet said, and went inside. Neighbor had joined the conversation between the duo and wanted to start an analysis of who was wrong and who wasn't wrong, but Juliet didn't let that hold her down. She went inside her house to have her 2 hours rest before work begins. She had a smooth work experience that day, and she replicated exactly the things she did the previous day that made her work easier to bear the next day. On a Sunday, Daisy had asked her in the afternoon, Juliet, I saw you coming from the other part of the road this afternoon when I was coming from church. As your church relocated from its usual location, asked Daisy. Juliet had just received her clothes from the dry cleaner, so she was folding them. Also, you closed from church early today. What happened? She asked. Nothing. I just changed my church, said Juliet. Daisy was shocked. Juliet had been attending that church since they both started living together. You changed your church? Why? She asked. Juliet hesitated, folding her clothes. They waste a lot of time, and time is one resource I don't have nowadays, said Juliet. What do you mean they waste a lot of time? Is that not the same church you have been attending for years? Yes, that was when I didn't have a job as demanding as my present job. Now, Sunday is the only time I get to spend on myself. I have to use it wisely. My former church wastes a lot of unnecessary time. They do praise and worship for 1 hour, testimony time for 1 hour, announcement time for 40 minutes, children's ministration for 20 minutes, youth ministration for 20 minutes. Then the choir will sing. Then pastor will preach for 1 hour. It's a lot. Why should I be coming home from church every Sunday by 3 p.m? It just occurred to me that it isn't the best. The church I attend now, I joined them 3 weeks ago. They do the most important and leave the excesses for first Sunday of the month. Praise and worship session is short. Preaching and prayer time is about 1 hour each. No testimony time, no children's ministration and all that. I get blessed. What else am I looking for? Juliet complained. Daisy chuckled. So, because God has blessed you with a good job now, spending lesser time with him is a compensation he deserves, asked Daisy, with a tone intended to make her feel guilty. I am not spending less time in his presence. I pray every day, and I don't have to call you when I do that. What about you mind the business that pays your bills? Said Juliet, slightly offended. Okay, oh, said Daisy. Daisy kept quiet and got busy. I didn't mean it that way. Sorry for snapping at you, said Juliet. It's okay. I shouldn't have tried making you feel guilty, said Daisy. I just feel like I have been so lost in work. I have not had time to connect with people who love me and spend time with them. Sunday seems to be the only available time for that, and I won't let some unnecessary church functions take that away from me, she said. It's okay, I got you, Daisy said. They gisted all through the afternoon. Juliet did some visitations to loved ones in the evening. She came back around 6 p.m. and slept till the next day. She woke up highly rejuvenated. It was her 4th month working as a remote worker. The work didn't get easier, but she managed it better every passing day. Every month she received a huge salary. The more she realized that it takes a lot of money to be rich. By the time she is done putting aside her savings and appropriating the money for her different needs, she is left with little or nothing. One evening, Juliet was in her room, staring pitifully into space. Her roommate, Daisy, was in her space, watching a movie and laughing out loud. After some minutes, Daisy looked up and saw Juliet sitting and staring. Baby girl, what's wrong? Why are you staring like that? She asked. Juliet hesitated. It just occurred to me that I haven't seen any movie for the past 6 months. My soul yearns for entertainment, but God knows I don't have time. Watching a movie means my rest for that day will be forfeited, said Juliet. Daisy felt pity for her and went close to her. It's okay, dear. I really commend your strength and resilience in these past few months. What about you watch skits that are just 5 minutes or less? There are many interesting skits by different comedians that you can watch. Daisy collected her phone and showed her the pages of about 5 different comedians. She showed her some of the videos on their pages, and they both laughed as they watched their funny skits. I'm grateful for the gift of you, said Juliet as she hugged her. After 6 months of working as a remote worker, Juliet resigned from her office work as a clerk. Are you sure you have thought it through? Asked Daisy. Yes, I have. I am very sure about this and I have prepared for this phase, said Juliet confidently. Daisy was of the opinion that she would regret such move, so she gave it time, waiting for the appropriate time to tell her, I told you so. But that didn't happen. Rather, Juliet had informed her of her shop opening ceremony, which would take place the next week. Daisy was surprised, but she kept her cool, thinking it must be one of those local roadside shops. The day came, and the venue she saw on the invitation card was one of the choicest parts of the city. Juliet wasn't at home. She took a cab and hurried to the location. To her dismay, the shop was an exquisite one. It was a kitchen utensils shop and it was a masterpiece. The shop was filled to the brim. Daisy was too choked to talk. She went to Juliet, who had just finished attending to some guests. How did you do it? How were you able to gather all this? Daisy asked. You of all people know the answer. Don't whine me. Juliet smiled. Don't mind me. Your labor and consistency were unparalleled. This is a good reward for your labor. Come here, said Daisy, her voice laden with emotions. She hugged Juliet tightly.